After talking things over with Al a little bit more, getting some intel on where exactly this programmer is going to be, he managed to zero in on a location, somewhere on the north side of the Yellow District. We were on the east side, so it was going to be a bit of a trek, but we definitely needed to make the trip. According to Emily, her weapons expert was in the west section of the Yellow District. At this point, I might as well just be making a circle. But since my bike hasn't really been broken in yet, I suppose taking a little trip isn't going to hurt. Besides, I might find some open roads where I can really open her up. So Al gave us some supplies in a backpack, some food rations and water, and a couple packs of cigarettes. Surprisingly, there was still more than enough of those in circulation. Even since the end of the Great War, one of the old cigarette factories got taken over, and they kept producing. They just changed the labels. The brand everyone seems to smoke out in the Yellow District is, of course, Marine brand. So I left to outside, heading towards my bike, to see Emily leaning against it, helmet clutched against her, looking like she was lost in thought. Hey Emily, you okay? I broke her away from her thoughts for a moment. Yeah, let's just get this over with. Did Al actually make contact with the guy? No, he says he'll call us, once he zeroes it in, finds a place for us to meet up with him. But for the moment, no exact location, so we might as well hit your guy first. So, who exactly is this guy? Emily sighed. Now, don't start fanboying, just because you know his name. We're going to get Danny Dynamite. What? I exclaimed, raising an eyebrow. You're not serious, right? I mean, that guy... Well, let's just say he's a little too high profile. There's no way that guy's gonna work with me. At least not for a buttload of money. I mean, there are very few people who don't know Danny Dynamite. His reputation isn't going to be a concern, Emily said, angrily putting on her helmet. Just don't worry about it. That asshole will do it, because I'm going to tell him to do it. Famous or not, he owes me, and it's time he paid up. So shut up, stop talking about him, because I'm honestly sick of hearing about him, and just get on the bike. Jeez, sensitive much? What, did you date the guy or something? Jax, the next words that come out of your mouth about Danny Dynamite are going to get you punched in the face. Are you okay with that? Emily said, looking at me very seriously as she closed the visor for her helmet. She wasn't joking around. Whatever her deal with this Danny Dynamite guy was, she most definitely didn't want to talk about it. But she doesn't seem to hold him in too high an esteem. Regardless, I needed his help, and if Emily said that she could get him to come and work for us, then chances are she's not lying. The only question is, what kind of favor does he owe her? One big enough to get one of the most famous weapon techs in the Yellow District to work for us has gotta be a doozy. For anyone needing some filler information on who exactly Danny Dynamite is, well, basically, he's the most famous weapons producer in the Yellow District. He's actually most famous for his unsightly temper and the massive explosions and destruction that he leaves in his wake, which is actually where he got the name Danny Dynamite, because he tends to go off like dynamite, indiscriminately blowing basically everything to bits the moment you upset him. No one, and I do mean no one in their right mind, messes with him. I heard a story about a guy spilling a drink on him. He was a member of one of the gangs near where Danny's said to hang out. Danny blew the entire gang to Kingdom Come. The entire factory where the gang called themselves home, called home for themselves, was wiped off the map. There isn't even rubble left, just a massive crater. Apparently, Danny rolled up with an assortment of weapons that would make anyone second-guess anything. After shooting his way through 30 guys, he blew up their freaking base. And there are plenty more stories about him going off. From what I hear, he is not to be messed with. So, I put on my helmet, hopping on the bike, turning on the engine, and beginning to move my way out, hitting the roads, heading for the home of Danny Dynamite. I, of course, had questions for Emily. How the hell she knew him, what the favor was that he owed her, what the hell went wrong with their relationship or interactions, that she doesn't even like talking about him. But with the way Emily responded when I asked her about it, it's not something that I think I need to dig into. It would probably be bad for my health. So as we took off, making our way there, swerving through the abandoned cars littering the streets, we eventually exited the main city section of the East Yellow District. Surprisingly, not very many people actually live in the East Yellow District. Despite the ample amount of room for people to stay, people tend to keep clear of it. There's just far too much space, with all of the skyscrapers, where people can camp out on any number of floors. It's simply too hard to check your surroundings. People tend to live on edge, at least these days, and an endless number of open windows in every direction, where people could snipe you out if they decided to, doesn't tend to suit most people. But despite people's worries, very few people actually bothered to try to live there, much less did anyone wait in preparations to snipe you out. Very few people ever had anything worth taking. So surprisingly, most of the district was clear, aside from a few gangs that had claimed skyscrapers in the city as their home turf, and tended to fight amongst each other, which was good for Al's business, of course. But as we left the East District, and the roads cleared up, things became a little bit more picturesque. Even in this desertous landscape, there's still a sort of beauty to it, outside of all the skyscrapers, where you can see the sun setting in the distance, over that endless expanse of sand. The aurora of colors, oranges and yellows, all framed against that unchanging sand dune desert. It almost felt picturesque. But what I was really more excited about was the open space. There weren't any cars out on this road, and the few that were had long since been moved, cleared in order to make transportation between the sections of the Yellow District more effective. So once I got out in the open, I throttled the engine. I have no idea how fast I was going, but damn did it feel good. The wind was whipping past so fast I almost felt like it was going to tear my clothes off. Me and Emily had to lean down, keep close to the bike. Otherwise it'd feel like the wind would try to rip you off of it, leaving a trail of dust in my wake, bolting down that empty highway. There was a sort of freedom to it, an escape, because this time I was on a journey to change the way things were working in my life. A road of possibilities, a highway ripe with potential, a race, and I was gonna win it.